Today, the NASCAR world is in mourning. On Thursday, May 21st, 2026, Kyle Busch, two-time NASCAR Cup Series champion, the winningest driver in NASCAR history, and one of the sport's most iconic figures, passed away at the age of 41 after being hospitalized with a severe illness. The news hit like a thunderclap. One moment, we were preparing for the Coca-Cola 600 at Charlotte Motor Speedway this weekend. Next, we were processing the impossible, that Kyle Busch, Rowdy, the man who seemed larger than life, was gone. The Busch family released more details on Saturday morning, revealing that severe pneumonia had progressed into sepsis, resulting in rapid and overwhelming complications. In a joint statement, the Busch family, Childress Racing, and NASCAR announced the devastating news that has left the entire motorsports community stunned and heartbroken. For those of us who have followed NASCAR for years, this feels surreal. Kyle Busch was a constant in our sport. He was supposed to be racing this weekend. He was supposed to be fighting for wins, feuding with rivals, and celebrating with his family. He was supposed to be here, but life, as we're reminded today, is fragile and unpredictable. NASCAR released a statement calling Kyle a future Hall of Famer, a rare talent, one who comes along once in a generation. He was fierce, he was passionate, he was immensely skilled, and he cared deeply about this sport and the people in it. Let's talk about what Kyle Busch meant to NASCAR, because his impact on this sport cannot be overstated. Kyle Busch didn't just compete in NASCAR, he dominated it in ways nobody else ever has. The numbers tell a story that will likely never be matched. 234 wins across NASCAR's 3 national series. Let that sink in. 234 victories. That's the all-time record, and it's not even close. 63 Cup Series wins, 9th all-time. 102 O'Reilly Auto Parts Series wins, the record. 69 Truck Series wins, also the record. He's the only driver in history to hold the wins record in both the O'Reilly and Truck Series simultaneously. No one else has done that. No one else probably ever will. Kyle won 2 Cup Series championships with Joe Gibbs Racing in 2015 and 2019. He was Rookie of the Year in 2005. He made the playoffs virtually every single year. During the 2000s, Kyle Busch was the standard. He defined what dominance looked like in modern NASCAR. And here's what makes his final days even more poignant. Kyle Busch went out a winner. His last race was just days ago at Dover Motor Speedway in the Craftsman Truck Series. He won. He swept the stages, set the fastest lap, and dominated that race from start to finish. It was vintage Kyle Busch. One final bow, one final victory, one final reminder of just how talented he was. In his post-race interview after that Dover truck win, Kyle said something that now feels prophetic.
Take whatever you can get, man. You never know when the last one's going to be, so cherish them all, trust me.
He didn't know those would be among his final words to the racing world, but they capture everything about how Kyle approached racing. Every win mattered, every lap mattered. He never took anything for granted. Kyle Busch's impact extended far beyond what he did behind the wheel. As a Truck Series team owner through Kyle Busch Motorsports, he gave countless young drivers their big break. William Byron, Eric Jones, John Hunter Nemechek, Christopher Bell, Noah Gragson, these drivers all got their starts or major opportunities because Kyle believed in them and gave them a shot. William Byron posted a heartfelt tribute on social media. Kyle gave me my shot in NASCAR and helped shape my career to what it is. That's the kind of impact Kyle had on people's lives. He opened doors, he created opportunities, he changed careers and changed lives. Joe Gibbs Racing, where Kyle spent the majority of his Cup Series career winning both his championships, released a statement saying, "Our hearts are broken for Samantha, Brexton, Lennox, and the entire Busch family. Kyle was a fierce competitor, an incredible teammate, and, far more importantly, a devoted husband, father, and son. His impact on our organization and on the sport of NASCAR will never be forgotten." Dale Earnhardt Jr. wrote, "Kyle was one of the greatest drivers in NASCAR history. No one can deny that. But he was also a father, a husband, brother, son, and a friend to many. My heart is broken for the Busch family." And that's what hits hardest right now. Beyond all the wins, beyond the championships, beyond the records, Kyle Busch was a husband and a father. His wife Samantha and their children Brexton and Lennox just lost the center of their world. His brother Kurt, a NASCAR Hall of Famer himself, just lost his younger brother. The Las Vegas community where Kyle grew up just lost one of their own. Those of us who followed Kyle's career watched him grow up before our eyes. He burst onto the Cup Series scene in 2005 at just 20 years old, brash, talented, fearless, and sometimes reckless. He was nicknamed Rowdy and Wild Thing for good reason. He got into feuds, he had post-race confrontations, he said what was on his mind, he was polarizing. Fans either loved him or loved to hate him. There was no in-between. But over the years, we watched Kyle evolve. We watched him mature. We watched him fall in love with Samantha, get married, start a family. We watched him become a father and saw how much pride he took in being Brexton and Lennox's dad. We saw the videos of him teaching Brexton to race, the family moments, the joy on his face when he was with his kids. Kyle Busch, the fierce competitor, was still there. But Kyle Busch, the devoted family man, had emerged too. He grew. He evolved, he became more complete as a person, and in his final years, even fans who once booed him had come to respect and admire what he'd accomplished and who he'd become. That transformation from the young hothead everyone loved to hate to a champion everyone respected, that's part of his legacy too. Kyle showed that you can be fiercely competitive and still grow as a person. You can be rowdy on the track and a devoted father at home. You can win with aggression and lose with grace. The timing of this tragedy makes it even more heartbreaking. Kyle was in his 22nd full-time Cup Series season with Childress Racing. He'd moved to RCR in 2023 after his long, successful tenure with Joe Gibbs Racing. While he hadn't won a Cup race since 2023, he was still competing at the highest level. He was still the driver other competitors had to account for. He was still Rowdy, and he was still a father actively involved in his kids' lives. Just days ago, he'd posted about celebrating Brexton's birthday. He was there, he was present, he was living life. This loss echoes another tragedy NASCAR faced last December, when former driver Greg Biffle, his wife, 2 children, and 3 others died in a plane crash in North Carolina. The sport is still processing that loss. And now this. The NASCAR family is grieving again, trying to make sense of the senseless. For those of us who never met Kyle personally but felt like we knew him through years of watching him race, this loss feels personal. We grew up with Kyle Busch. We watched every stage of his career. We celebrated his wins, argued about his controversies, admired his talent, and ultimately came to appreciate everything he brought to NASCAR. The comparison to Dale Earnhardt's death in 2001 is inevitable. Different circumstances, but the same sense of shock and disbelief. The same feeling that someone who seemed invincible, larger than life, couldn't possibly be gone. Earnhardt died doing what he loved on the last lap of the Daytona 500. Kyle's final race was also a victory, that Dover truck win just days ago. Both men were icons. Both men were heroes to countless fans. Both men seemed too big, too important, too essential to the sport to lose. And yet here we are, reminded once again that life is precious and fragile and can change in an instant. If you want to remember Kyle's incredible career and celebrate his legacy, please share this video with other NASCAR fans who are grieving this loss alongside you.